Hi everyone and welcome to episode 312 of the Mighty Whites podcast. I am a very tired Jack. I am joined as always by Casey.
I am just medium tired.
Yeah, nice. You see, I'm well done, and we all know how shit that is. How's things, mate?
Yeah, not bad. To be honest, having listened back to people talking about Wednesday's game, slightly confused.
Okay, yeah, I'm fine. What confuses you?
I don't think we played that well, but I have heard others describe it as quite a positive performance.
I mean, I would agree it was a positive performance because it's this late in the season and we won, so they're all positive performances. The word I used, I believe, was laboured.
Yeah, I don't know. It was just odd. I was listening to Radio Leeds on the way back, and it was described as a routine 2-0 win, which...
I think that despite, I would agree we weren't that good, but I think a routine 2-0 win is a perfectly fair description of that game.
No, because for me, routine and us at home would indicate that we had produced some level of quality. And I don't think we did for most of that.
For most of it, I'd agree. There was a couple of flashes.
I think at the point where the South Stand is singing about bringing a sub on, that's the indication to me that we have not played particularly well.
Yeah, what was it? It was the na wasn't it? Subs are coming on.
Yeah.
Coming. Yeah, we'll just get straight to the game. Sheffield United and Burnley drew. Yay. So, Leeds could go top. Well, they could go top with a draw, but you needed a win, and we beat Millwall 2-0. 8 points to Connie, who is now kicking all our asses. As I say, I don't think we're great by any stretch. I'll get what I think is the really big positive out of the way, which is Millwall had a really good chance for a header from a corner at the end of the first half. And then in the second half, they had a mishit cross that Melia had to turn behind. That is all of Millwall's contribution going forward, really, to the game.
They looked so poor. Like, not bottom of the table poor, but I couldn't tell you what they offered in this game.
Yeah, I would agree that not bottom of the table poor. You know the years of finishing 15th poor?
Yeah, that.
It's like that.
A game that just passed them by. Like, they were certainly there.
Yeah. To be honest, in terms of, like, quality of football and being able to keep the ball and get us forward, I thought Millwall were decent for about 2 minutes. And then in the third minute, Rothwell wins it back, Leeds break, Solomon's in behind down the left, cross, deflects off Jake Cooper. It's given us a Jake Cooper own goal, but have you seen it back from side on?
I haven't, no.
Right. It deflects off Cooper, which completely wrong foots Jensen. But if no one touches that ball, it's going straight across the face of goal. And Jensen palms it into his own goal. So it's very harsh on Jake Cooper because for me, it's definitely Jensen's own goal. But it's not that it matters. Solomon, he does well to get something of a crossing because it's a little bit overhit for him and stuff. Probably the best bit of the move is the way Rothwell actually wins it back and breaks. He really did drive us on there. And you did hear the atmosphere actually was starting to pick up a bit. And if anything, it got calmed by us getting an early goal.
Yeah, I mean, I will say, in the ground, I said, whilst we queued for my various beverages, I did say I missed that run where we kept scoring in the first few minits. That was really
say
good.
that.
Brentford
you did
are
say
on
that. I was stood next to you, and apologies to the dude we were talking to because if I did get your name, I have forgotten what it was.
I don't think we did.
No.
Oh, we're both terrible people.
Yeah, but it was a nice bloke.
Yeah,
having a chat at the bar about the football.
But yeah, so it was quite nice. And again, I wonder if we were too relaxed after that.
Maybe
not Leeds, the fans.
Yeah, it was surprisingly quiet. I do wonder if part of that is one just night game, 1-0 up early, game that we should be winning. There was also nothing to fire us up. because, and look, I'm not like a lot of it. I'm not going to have a particular go at a fan base for not sending many. It's an expensive day out on a weeknight and it's a long way. I was surprised at quite how small their crowd was. 391. Thanks, Big Lee, for announcing that. Which, look, yes, it's petty, but it was funny. Like it is. But I think that the Leeds fans would have been like they'd have been more up for having a bit more of a dig if there'd have been something to have a dig at.
Yeah.
I would say I wouldn't go if it was the other way around. So I'm not in any way going to go with people for not going.
Yeah, I mean, what was the biggest thing that got anyone's ire? It was the lack of a yellow card being brandished in the game.
Yeah, which that's twice in a row now at Ellen Road because the exact same thing happened against West Brom. I don't know the exact stat. I think Joe Donahue put it out that across the two games there was like the best part of 50 fouls and no cards given, and it's the biggest run of that there's been since Opta started collecting records or something like that.
But, just wait till we start the expected yellow cards.
But the thing that I'll give him is, I mean, I can't say they're inconsistent, which is something. And it is one of them where I think he screws up right at the start because Dan James beats their left back. He's away and he's driving into the box and he slides in and hoofs him up in the fucking air and don't book him. And once he set that standard for, no, that's not a yellow card, almost you have to really do someone in to get booked once he set that as the standard. And in a way, at least he stuck to it. Because if he'd have booked someone cheap, like, okay, we'll just say it. At the end, Jayden Bogle pulls someone's back and it's probably a yellow card and he would have been banned for 2 games. But he couldn't book him because Millwall should have had about 5 by that point.
Yeah, I mean, we were saying that their left back had a Dan James, who again didn't play particularly well.
I would say the worst player on the pitch, as well, in a Leeds shirt for definite. Like he got the ball into feet 5 times in the opening few minutes and lost it every single time. And 3 of them he didn't even get to it, despite being fastest bloke in league. He had a really off day. He had an unbelievably good February.
And he still had their left back on toast.
Yeah.
like 2 or 3 times he was just fouled and grabbed and pulled. And yeah, we got the free kick, but you were there going, surely there's a yellow card coming at some point, but it never did.
No. Which I suppose in the end, because it didn't affect anything, just becomes fine, doesn't it, by the end?
I mean, I will say, because the game never got scrappy or anything like that, which I think when you play Millwall is sort of the concern. And especially when no one's giving any yellow cards, you could think, we can probably get away with something here. And I don't think it ever got to that level. Like, I'm quite surprised, to be honest, that it didn't become basically playing Preston. Leeds get the ball within, the Barcelona philosophy in the 2000s is if we lose the ball, you win it back within 5 seconds. Whereas when we play Preston, it's if Preston lose the ball, we must foul Leeds within 5 seconds.
Yeah.
Like, I'm surprised it didn't devolve into that.
Yeah, rather than being like scrappy a bit, it was more sloppy at times, wasn't it? Like some of our... And Portsmouth, it was a lot of the time the centre mids. In this game, it wasn't really the centre mids that were sloppy. They were a bit negative for the crowd's taste at times, but they played a lot better, and I think that helped. The sort of highlight of the first half was the good bit of play between Peru and Aronson. Played into Peru, turns it into Aronson, flicks it back. Peru beats his defender. Great finish into the top corner with his right foot. Given offside, having seen it back, it's not. I mean, it's level. Now, I do have a feeling that it's one of them level ones where when if it was in the Premier League, it might have been offside by a millimetre. But when you don't have that, you just have to look at it and go, well, he's definitely not ahead of him because you can see him behind him sticking out. So whether the lean or something does it, but it's not offside. And it was the best bit of football in the whole game. And it's a real shame because it's one of them where, like, when I'm judging the performance, I'm going, right, well, yeah, Peru was quiet at times and stuff. But when you see highlights back, he's involved in basically everything we did right. And he scored a really good goal. I know it got disallowed, but that's not his fault. It wasn't offside.
Yeah.
He scored a really good goal.
Lovely.
I will mention actually that in the first half, Aronson also had one where he beat Tanganga and got into the box and had his shot saved. So Peru and Aronson, I thought Peru was decent, but I think it's worth pointing out that this was Brendan Aronson's best game in quite a while.
Yeah, it was definitely the most involved he'd been for a fair while. I thought his pressing was better. I thought and much more effective. And I thought for the most part, when he got on the ball, his decision making was much better than it has been the last few weeks.
Yeah, one of the things I liked about him, even though some of them weren't great, he had like 4 or 5 shots, which the number of times he turns down a shot in great positions, it was nice to see him just let fly with it. Like he had a volley, well, not a volley, but hit a bouncing ball because it bounced like 3 times, and a volley is only if it doesn't bounce. But it went over in the second half. It was a pretty good strike.
Yeah, it wasn't a bad effort, that one that went just over. Like you say, probably one of those where it probably wasn't troubling the keeper, but it wasn't far off and a decent strike. But yeah, it just seemed. I think to me at times it very much felt like not to the Portsmouth extent, but again, yeah, they were just felt a bit like a group of players that hadn't played together before. When you're there going, no, you lot play every week.
In fact, it's one of the things that might be an issue, but we'll come on to that in a bit. Yeah. Second half, Manor Solomon had a really good run from deep where he went onto his left foot and hit the bar. He also pulled one just wide at near post where Peru played Firpo through. Firpo played it back, a little back heel to Solomon, just wide. They were the main 2 efforts going through the half. But then, and to be honest, I thought Manor Solomon was probably the best of our front 4. I thought he had a pretty good game. He didn't quite beat his man. Like he didn't beat him on the outside enough for me, but he was still good and he was involved a lot. But later on, Leeds kept the ball well, played it around quite nicely, and got the ball. They sort of managed to drag everyone over to Leeds' right side, and then play a ball through the middle. Solomon found Firpo. Firpo pulls it back just beyond Solomon, who, looking at it back, I think he was actually aiming for. But Tanaka's arrived on the edge of the box. Really good finish, sort of into the top left corner. Great finish, seals the 3 points, and sends Leeds top.
And yeah, and then we were allowed to make subs.
Yeah, we'll just get into that because the subs, like, to be fair, I'll get the defence out the way first because it is fair. 1, they were already on the touchline, so he was making them anyway. But 2, we got the second goal. Leeds were on top. He didn't change things because Leeds were on top, and we got the second goal. That is the defence, and it is a perfectly reasonable defence to make. I think on any week where we don't have 3 games in 6 days, I would be just going, no, he's done right there. You know, I would use the squad more, but he hasn't, and that's fair enough because we've got the win. I found it really odd to just not change anything, especially when like Dan James is having such a poor game and looks knackered. Brendan Aronson is having a pretty good game, but looks knackered. We're not having to defend at all. Our right back is 1 yellow card away from missing 2 games. Like it worked out fine, but my worry is Saturday, and it is one of the first times that we've heard a bit of actual dissent from the crowd towards Farke.
Yeah,
it wasn't widespread. It was the South Stand, but
I think, I honestly think that the lack of subs is one of the reasons why I think I found that game as frustrating as I did, because I understand at this time of the season, and And with this run of fixtures, yeah, there's players that are tired. There's players that are feeling a bit of the pressure. I kind of understand that everyone's not going to put in an 8 out of 10 every week. But you have these two really good wingers on the bench.
Yeah.
Like just use them. Just sometimes.
And give them more than a few minutes.
Yeah. Like, they're really good. They walk into any other championship team.
I have one other thing that'll make me... I'll be okay with Nonto and Ram. I still would have brought them on earlier. I want to be clear about that. If he's played Solomon and James right to the end almost, because he's planning on starting Ramazani and Nonto at QPR, I will go, all right, I still would have brought him on a bit earlier, give him a bit of rhythm. But, okay. You just spread him. Because that's what... when Ramazani was injured and we had 3 wingers available, if we had 3 in a week, they'd all play 2, wouldn't they?
Yeah.
So if he's doing something akin to that, that'll make a little bit more sense. But we'll come on to it because I expect it. Rothwell had a bit of a knock at the end of the game, so I'm expecting growth for Rothwell. And that'll be it. Who was your man at match, Casey?
I think for me, I'd probably settle on Strauch, but I wasn't particularly blown away by anyone, if I'm being entirely honest. Yeah, I think there's probably most of the team you could go through and went, yeah, they did fine, but I thought Strauch was, with what bits he had to do, was good with that, and I thought his passing out from the back was better than Rodon's. It's not a high bar for this one for me.
I had it as Tanaka just ahead of Rothwell and Strauch and Rodon, and then Tanaka scored. So right, cool. That makes mind up on that.
Yeah,
the
0.7.
Yeah, the Twitter vote that Leeds do was Rothwell by a distance. So I wonder if that's one of them where just it looked more like he was the all action one on TV, maybe.
And I think he probably was, and there were quite a few times when he picked up the ball around the halfway line and would drive with it.
Yeah.
I think there was a couple of moments, especially in the first half, where I think there's the one where he played a 1-2 with Firpo, who, if I'm remembering it rightly, hadn't got back from a corner.
Actually, there's one thing I want, just on the subject of Firpo not getting back, because it does deserve mentioning. There was one bit where Millwall had a really good chance to break and Firpo got caught miles up the field, and Solomon sprinted back like fuck and won the ball back on there, like at the side of our box. I know to put that out because that's not something he's massively known for, and it was really good to see.
Yeah. So yeah, I can see why, especially following if you're following the TV footage, that Joe Rothwell looks like he's been the guy driving the team, especially in the first half, because I think he was the one who probably got on the ball the most.
I think any of it. I think probably both midfielders, both centre backs, Firpo, Solomon, were the ones that you could say it, and I go, yeah, okay. I think all of them would have been fine. So yeah, puts us top of the league again. We are 2 points clear with Sheffield United, 4 points clear with Burnley. We are at the stage now where, although we've said, that wasn't a great performance and stuff, we are a little bit at the it doesn't matter anymore stage now. If you win, that's all we need.
Yeah, totally agree. Just win games, especially home games. Win the rest of your home. What, we got 4 home games left.
I was just going to say how many of our remaining games are at home.
I think it's 4. Here's the problem: how many of our games are 12:30 kickoffs?
Yeah, home. We've got home to Swansea, home to Preston, home to Stoke, home to Bristol City. I mean, if you can win those 4, you're on 91 points. with 5 games to get points elsewhere. So yeah, win your home games, then you should, and should is the operative word, should be okay. But I think 3 teams are going to get like 95 plus.
I can't believe we're going to end up in the playoffs again.
Yeah.
The frustrating news that came out today as well of the Preston game has been moved to an early kickoff now.
Yeah. Well, so we're only up to, so the TV announcements are only up to Preston on the 12th of April. So that's 5 games from now. The Middlesbrough one is like like Tuesday night or something. So that one doesn't count. So we've got 4 weekend games. And 3 of them kick off at 12:30. One of which is QPR away tomorrow. QPR away in a promotion running. That's never bit us in the arse before.
Yeah, it went swimmingly last season.
4-0 in a game I remember no details of, and I think it's because my brain is protecting me. I just remember it being one of the worst performances. Given the context of how good we were, it's one of the worst performances I've ever seen us put in. I've seen us be worse, but when we were shit.
Yeah, it was. And again, because not to start drawing parallels, but we'd had this really good run of games. And then we had that international break. And then it all went wrong.
Yeah, that's whenever my dad talks about the promotion running and stuff, he isn't even talking about teams we're playing or Sheffield United and Burnley and how many points they'll get. All he's talking about is we're always shit at Easter. And I can't really argue with that.
Yeah. I don't know. It's... Yeah. It should be fine. We should beat QPR.
Yeah, if this was 3 o'clock, I'd be so much less nervous, which is stupid. But the numbers are there. We don't win when it's early kickoffs. I didn't realise how bad a form QPR had been in.
Oh God!
They've lost 5 of the last 6, and the win was a 4-0 win over pre-Eustace Derby.
Yeah.
Because they were up playoff chasing not long soon, weren't they?
Yeah.
I mean, they're now 14th, and they're 12 points off the playoffs. So if they've lost 5 of the last 6, they must have been quite close before that run. It looks like they're usually 4-2-3-1, as most teams in this league are. But I did notice that against Sheffield United, they dropped into a deeper sort of midfield 3. And I wonder if they'll do that against us. Especially with, it looks as if, because he limped off in the last game, Elias Chair is probably out, who is their best player.
Yeah. I'm only just finding out that's where Karamoko Dembele is.
Yeah, I've got him on the list here as former FM Wonder kid Karamoko Dembele.
Former teenager.
Former child.
Yeah. There's not a lot to this team, is it, when you look at it?
There's not loads.
There's a
bit of championship bastard.
Really old.
Yeah, there's a bit of grizzled championship bastard in there. Obviously, if Chair is out, that is their main threat gone. But I don't know how good Karamoko Dembele actually is, because all I think of is Champions League winning right winger for Leeds in 2031 or whatever the hell it was.
Yeah.
Paul Smith is all right on the other wing. That will stand out, and I don't know much about Koki Saito, who's probably going to play 10 with no Chair. I like one of their 2 centre-backs. I like Lonnie Edwards. He's another one of the do look unbelievably good at Peterborough. Get a move to the Premier League that don't actually give you a chance, so you're on loan in the Championship. He's Siriki Dembele, but a centre-back. But then they've got their Championship bastards of Steve Cook alongside him and Jack Colback in holding mid. Which I do keep thinking, okay, run at those guys. Because that was what I was going mental about in the Millwall game in the stand. Just run at them. They're so slow. And we did it so rarely.
Yeah. Like you say, you look at Colback and Cook, and Steve Cook, I imagine.
Sorry, Colback and Cook sounds like it ran at Cheltenham today.
Yeah, like Brendan Aronson should just be able to scamper away from those lads.
Well, I mean, he sprinted past Tanganga like he wasn't there, and Tanganga's quicker than both of them.
Yeah, like he'll turn, and then Jack Colback will be behind him all of a sudden, and he'll lose it. But not that I'm pessimistic. Yeah. I'm really not looking forward to this.
No, I'm not. I've got the exact same feeling about this game that I did about Portsmouth, and I even compared the two when I said it about Portsmouth. Weirdly, Portsmouth away felt more like the QPR away game last season than this does. It's literally QPR away. I think it's because Chair being out has helped my confidence level a little bit. And Sam Field would normally be in midfield with Colback, but he's out as well. So Kieran Morgan will probably come in, who I don't know anything about. There's also Jake Clark-Salter is also out, but I think it'd probably be Edwards and Cook anyway. They signed Harvey Vale from Chelsea at the start of February, and he's got quite a good reputation of being a good young player, and he was good when I saw him in their 21s, but he's also injured. Up front, as usual for the Championship, big man. Michael Frey's got 7 goals. I've watched 60 minutes of one QPR game that was against Leeds live, and he actually did look pretty good in that game. Like, quite good touch and able to use his strength well to get away. But you'd back Roden and Strauch to be able to deal with him. Their most interesting player is Jimmy Dunn at right back. By quite a distance. He's been inverting into midfield quite a lot. And he loves a shot and loves to try and beat a player. He's their second top scorer with 5 goals. He's only got a couple of assists, but he scored 2 or 3 absolute worldies this year. And I believe that his contract's up at end of season. And I don't think he'll get a Premier League move. But I think he's one of them that's going to... It wouldn't surprise me if someone who gets relegated from the Premier League signs him.
Yeah. It's quite an interesting career, just looking at him, to be fair. Started out with Scum, went to Burnley, has played...
It's an inauspicious start for liking him.
Well, no, just in terms of went to Burnley, has had loans at Barrow, Accrington, Hearts, Sunderland and Fleetwood. And then has gone to QPR and just started playing.
I've just got onto his wiki now. I'm surprised he hasn't got an Ireland cap if he's been playing so well this season.
I was thinking that. But yeah, like I say, if you're admittedly central midfield bound right back is your second top scorer, it's probably not been great to watch.
I think by the sounds of the way, obviously Cifuentes did a brilliant job with him last season because they were dead and buried, weren't they, under Ainsworth? They were bottom at league and shy, and he got them well out of relegation. So he has a lot of credit in the bank with him. And I think that the football hasn't been that bad, but I think it's sort of got worse as the season's gone on, especially by the looks of the results. But I haven't seen loads of people complaining about him. So I suppose with the way, because they're still quite cheaply run after they really weren't for years. So I think if they're solid and fine, I think that Cifuentes won't be in any sort of trouble and they'll give him a go to try and get him back playing. Other than Gruev for Rothwell, because it's away, do you think we'll make any changes?
No.
No, me neither. I think it makes all the sense in the world for the wingers to change. But
if I'm sat there 25 minutes in thinking, God, we look tired here, I'm going to be so annoyed.
Yeah. Yeah, that's my worry as well. That is very much what worries me, is that we're going to watch this game and just never get going. And they're going, God, if only he'd rotated the squad.
I mean, I'm hoping now we'll get unshackled Jaden Bogle, who is going to enjoy his newfound freedom by two-footing someone.
Yeah, he's going to get booked after 4 minutes of this game.
It's like, finally, yes. Yeah, like you say, they need to start this one positively.
Yeah.
And I really think the idea that teams will watch the Portsmouth performance and just thought, if you cut off their defensive passes, they're going to panic. And it's not that hard to do.
Yeah. I must say, I am looking at that lineup because Frey didn't seem particularly quick when it came to closing down. Obviously, I don't know anything about sight over attacking mid. It doesn't strike me as a team that's going to press us high. And if they do go to a midfield three like they did against Sheffield United, even more, it doesn't look like a team that's going to press us high.
Yeah.
So I don't think they'll get about us to the same extent Portsmouth did. I say I would like us to change at least one of the wingers just to give one of them a proper run. And I think that fitness-wise, it'd probably be for Solomon because he's played 2 nearly full games in a few days and his fitness record isn't great. But basically, if it was basing it off the last game, it'd be for James. But I don't think he will. I think the only other change will be Schmidt was out with an illness, so I think he'll be back on the bench for Sam Chambers. He's been named in the Switzerland squad as Isaac Schmidt. How?
Based on what?
Have they been sending someone to look through the bushes at Forfar?
I mean, admittedly, when you first said that, I was thinking Sam Chambers, but sure,
yeah.
One makes more sense than the others.
Yeah. We've got Elio Badger saying James looked knackered on Wednesday. I agree, he did. It's why if you were basing it on that game, non-toe for James would probably be what you do. But it's Daniel Farkas, so wouldn't expect out. I have had the predictions in. Obviously, I did mention Connie had 2-0 last one. So we all got points except for Alex, who had a 1-1 draw. So we're still bottom 2, KC with 62 each. Alex 66, Benny 68, Connie on commanding lead 82.
I'm really glad we invited others into this.
What? So we could be behind even more people?
Yeah.
For this one, Benny has got a 2-1 win. Alex has gone full pessimism, 1-0 defeat. You can tell that he's been predicting wins basically the whole time, and then he went 1-1 against Millwall, 1-0 defeat now. He's starting to get the vibes of what Leeds fans are like properly. Oh, it's going to go wrong. It's definitely going to go wrong. And Connie has gone for a 3-1 win.
I'm going to go 1-0 win.
I'm going 2-2 draw. Now, don't go. It's definitely not a good result. If we draw away from home and win at home, I'm not going to be fuming. I don't think, unless it's the manner of the performance. But the problem is that I think Burnley and Sheffield United are going to get that many points that we'll be going into the last game shit scared if we don't win like 6 games out of these 9.
Yeah, I think at this point, like you said, the hope is that essentially we can go into, is just trying to keep that 4 point or keep it at least a 4 point gap from Burnley now.
Yeah. You want to be, if we could be like more than 3 points clear of third going into Burnley, Sheffield United, and then we can just go, right, whoever's third, lose. And like try and make that gap up. If you can win 6 of the 9, we'll be on 97 points plus any draws we get. And you would think even in a mental season like this, that would be enough. Especially with them having to play each other.
What do you mean we got 101 points and finished third?
Yeah. Leeds get 191 points over 2 seasons and don't get promoted.
Oh, God.
Yeah, that would be very funny. But we'll see. We have had a couple. Weirdly, there's a bit of a running that goes both Passion, who we just put Fashion Green, and Ali, who comments a fair bit. But they've both gone 3-0. Although, to be fair to Ali, their defence isn't great. I fancy he's winning 3-0 or more. I wish I had your confidence, mate. I really do.
I'd snap your hand off for or more.
Yeah, we've got an international break after this. So if timings work out, we'll probably be back early and then leave a gap. But it depends on work and stuff. If we're busy, we might push it back a bit just to a more convenient day. But that will do us for episode 312 of the Mighty Whites podcast. Hopefully we can win. I didn't even check who Burnley were playing. They're away at Swansea at 3 o'clock. And I know who Sheffield United are playing because they're Sunday lunchtime. It's the Sheffield derby. So, I mean, that's one of them where you're really hoping that could be interesting. I think Sheffield United will win about 3-0 because Sheffield Wednesday is shite. So, yeah, that will do us. I've been Jack. See ya.
And Casey, have a good one.
In a bit.